I don't know, just kind of vibe. Oh, there we go.
Probably turn my fan off.
Yeah. All right, do we want to go ahead and get started?
Sounds good to me.
All right, cool. So hello, everyone that is watching us right now. We're here today to talk a little bit about the Iowa State Interfraternity Council. Throughout the week, you've probably seen we've been doing a ton of different live streams for each of our councils. And today we are the last one, and we're covering the Interfraternity Council today. We'll start out by introducing ourselves. So my name is Luke Safras. I am one of the vice presidents of recruitment for the Interfraternity Council. I am a senior in industrial engineering, and I am originally from Johnston, Iowa. And do we want to do a fun fact, Gunnar? I want to do a fun fact.
Heck, why not?
All right. My fun fact is that my family has a three-legged cat named Tripod.
That one gets me every time. I love it. All right. Hey, guys, I am Luke's counterpart. I am also one of the vice presidents of recruitment. My name is Gunnar Maddock. I am a fifth year now. I am double majoring in biology and psychology. And my fun fact would be I transferred from Colorado State University.
Very exciting. So today we're going to talk a little bit about the Interfraternity Council, some of the opportunities and goals of our council. But mainly we're going to focus on how do you get involved with the council and join the council. Because a lot of the experiences of our chapters across all four councils are going to be kind of intertwined. We encourage you to go check out the all community live stream, which is on Mondays. Those should be recorded as well on our Facebook page, so feel free to go check those out as well. But we're going to talk just to start a little bit about our council. So the Interfraternity Council consists of 30 chapters here at Iowa State. 28 of those chapters have chapter facilities located on campus. And then our other two chapters are kind of spread out across the campus area in apartments and residence halls and things like that. As a council, we have an overall goal of building our members into better men and better citizens of the world at large. And making those connections between our members so that when they go out into the world, they're really able to use those connections and build the world into a better place based on the values that they gain from the community. So that is really our main goal in the Interfraternity Council. And we do that through a number of different values spread across our council and all 4 councils in the community.
Yeah. In addition to that, a chapter having a chapter facility is more of an asset than a defining feature. I actually came from a chapter at Colorado State that didn't have a chapter facility, but we still had just as strong a brotherhood, and there were numerous benefits, including scholarships and a lot of additional things. So it is an additional asset, but it's not completely necessary to define a fraternity or a brotherhood.
Yeah, definitely not. We have facilities and chapters of many different sizes on our campus, all who have a fantastic brotherhood and bond between those members. So something like that is not really determinant of the quality of your chapter. It's really about what you make of it. We like to say that you will get out of it what you put into it. So if you really commit time and really get involved in your chapter, you're going to get the best experience possible, regardless of what chapter you choose to join.
So before we jump into our recruitment, our 2 main methods of recruitment, I'm going to go and cover the general process of what receiving a bid looks like. So usually for receiving a bid, a potential new member, usually called a P&M by our chapters, will go and have met with a chapter recruitment chair or chapter representative a few times. And once a chapter feels that a potential new member would be a beneficial addition to their chapter or they'd be a good fit for them, they'll extend a bid. So it's very much a compliment. There are 2 primary kinds of bids. The first one being the blue bid card. That's our official office bid card. What that does is it basically makes it's you committing to the direct affiliation with a chapter. And it's basically saying, hey, I want to be a member of this specific chapter. It's also a way for us as an office to go and keep track of just general numbers of chapters and active brothers and just what our community growth looks like. With that bid card, it covers 3 main things in addition to personal information, one of which is a non-hazing policy. We have a 0 tolerance hazing policy overall, an academic release so your chapter and the community can go and get cumulative grades per chapter, and also a media release so you can be included in our communities, Instagrams, Facebook, anything in that regard. The next kind of bid card is a chapter specific bid card. What that looks like is it typically has the chapter's crest on it and then signatures from chapter leaders basically stating that they think you'd be a great addition to their chapter. This varies from chapter to chapter. Some have them, some don't. It's more of a formality than anything else.
And one of the great benefits about the system, which we'll talk about a little bit later, when we get to informal recruitment, is the ability to kind of tailor your own experience with that to the best pace that works for you. So if you have multiple chapters that you're interested in and you receive a bid from one of those chapters, you don't necessarily have to sign that bid card right away. You can sort of hold on to that bid card and see what other prospects you get and kind of make that decision once you have those bid cards in hand. I know that's how I did my recruitment when I was going through. I received a bid from one chapter. I had 2 chapters I was looking at. I received a bid from one chapter and I was like, maybe I want to hold on to this until I hear from the other chapter. And the other chapter is the one that I eventually signed with. And that's kind of the benefit of having that bid card method, is that you can kind of control that within your recruitment experience. So building off of that, that kind of leads us into our recruitment. Here at Iowa State, we have 2 main avenues of recruitment, you could say, that are more tailored for different types of people, depending on how they want their recruitment experience to go. So we have the informal 365-day recruitment that is kind of a year round, which Gunnar will talk about in a minute. And then we have the more formalized recruitment process. This process is mainly encompassed by 2 different events, which are our IFC Experience Weekend in the spring and our fall formal recruitment, which takes place in the fall.
Yes. So going and building off of that, so Luke had mentioned informal recruitment, which is actually, unlike many major universities, this is our primary method of recruitment for all of our fraternities. It's also called 365-day recruitment. So the two main methods of informal recruitment are summer recruitment and individual chapter outreach. What this looks like is typically summer recruitment. If you had noted interest prior to coming to Iowa State, you would have been put on a list, and that list would have been sent out to the majority of recruitment chairs. And from there, it's essentially a number of cold calls and texts going in asking if you'd be interested in meeting with them. In addition to that, individual chapter outreach is very similar. What happens is whenever you note interest, we go and collect a bunch of information and you answer a bunch of questions, and we go and make that information and your contact information available to chapters. And from there, they have the opportunity to reach out. So summer recruitment is obviously, as it's stated, throughout the summer. The majority of that is typically recruitment chairs reaching out to you individually and then meeting with you, whether it be at a restaurant and or whatever currently follows safety guidelines, as we are in very odd circumstances. In addition to that, a lot of the times there's house tours involved with that and a lot of other good stuff. Individual chapter outreach is more of club fest, independent tabling, individual chapter recruitment events. So a lot of just stuff that's initiated more by the chapters themselves. In addition to that, there's a thing called Chapter Builder. So when you guys do reach out and you note interest within the Interfraternity Council, we're able to go and make you a bio that all chapters can read and see, and they can go and reach out to you that way. And that's how the majority of informal occurs.
So on the other side of that coin, I'm going to talk a little about the informal. I'm going to talk about some of our formal events, more specifically the fall formal recruitment event. So this is the one, this is the big event that's coming up in the fall. We've been getting a lot of questions about it, as it is kind of currently the most prevalent method that a lot of people are choosing to participate in. So this is going to be a week-long event with an opportunity to meet and interact with all of the chapters in our council. All 30 chapters will be involved in this event in some capacity, and you'll have an opportunity to get to meet them. So this event is going to consist of multiple rounds of visits and preferencing with chapters. So if I'm a participant, for example, I will sign up for recruitment and get the opportunity to go learn a little bit about every single chapter in our community through a series of videos. I will then be able to choose my top 10, 12 chapters, and then we will build a schedule for you of visits and interactions based on those preferences. And chapters will do the same. They will go through the list of participants and say, we want to interact with this person more. Let's bring them back, see what we can get from that interaction. So it's a mutual selection process that sort of narrows you down to one final chapter at the end of the week. It takes place across multiple different rounds. There's 4 different rounds of interactions that all culminate in that final bid. So when you come out of the event, you are very, very likely to come out with a bid to a chapter in our community. And if you come through the event and don't like where you end up necessarily, we would hope that wouldn't happen. But if it does, for whatever reason, you're able to return and do the informal recruitment at your own whim as well. So we do want to give people the flexibility to do what they need to do within that event. The event was originally scheduled for August 16th through August 20th, which was supposed to be the week before classes began. As we've recently just been informed, like yesterday, the university is moving up classes by a week. So classes are now actually starting that week. And we are currently working with the university to kind of adapt that and figure out what we're going to do next. The event will still occur in a capacity. We just have to do some adjustments to that in what it's going to look like. And we will be hopefully getting back with that information very soon here. Hopefully by next week when we do this again, we will have a clear answer on when that event is, how it's going to look, things like that. But we want to assure everyone that the event is still going to occur. So we encourage you to sign up for the event. And we will be able to work with you from there to kind of figure out what your experience will look like.
Yeah, so in addition to fall formal recruitment, we also have another structured event called IFC Experience Weekend. So this typically, it's a semi-formal event, and it typically takes place at the end of March. What this looks like, the general outline of it, is there's usually a large initial tabling event that Friday night, and it takes place over a 2-day span. So that Friday night, that P&Ms are allowed to go and interact with all 30 chapters, and then from there they preference usually their top 8. And from there, that next day, that Saturday, they're able to go and interact with all of those chapters and go and see those facilities and get just learn more about them. So this is a great opportunity for people that want to first get settled during the fall semester and get their feet under them and don't initially rush. And also for potential new members that are just about to graduate high school that want to go and get a head start and or just want to go and set a foundation for themselves for the informal process. This, as I said, it happens in the end of March. So this goes and actually kicks off informal recruitment for all incoming freshmen. So this is a great opportunity just to go and initially have some great initial interactions, go and understand and see what the community is more about and what this council can really go and how you can benefit from this council.
So as far as our kind of structured content we want to talk about, that's about it. We are going to answer any questions that anyone watching may have. So feel free to throw those in the comments right now. We'll be happy to answer them. But while that's happening, I just want to inform you all about a couple different resources we have for where you can ask your questions in the future once this is all once this live stream is over, if you have any questions throughout the week. So first of all, we have an email, ifcrecruitment@iastate.edu. It's on the screen right there. That you can send us any sort of email, and we will be happy to answer any questions you have, really about anything. If you need help connecting with chapters, feel free to email us, and we'd be happy to help you do that. Additionally, you can also call our office at 515-294-1023. You can also check us out on Facebook, which you're currently probably watching on the sorority and fraternity account right now. But you can also check us out on Facebook, Iowa State Interfraternity Council. We're also on Instagram, Iowa State IFC. And then we encourage you to look at the sorority and fraternity engagement website as well, because that's a fantastic resource for a lot of different questions you may have. That's a really good place to start. Just follow the tabs that are shown on there. They can really help you find the resources you need. So while we're waiting to see if anyone else has any questions, we're both going to share a little bit about how our recruitment process went. Gunnar, I know yours is probably very different. So if you want to start, you can start.
Sure, I'll lead us off. So I always knew that I wanted to go and join a fraternity. My dad was actually in a chapter at Iowa State, and he had always told me about the great just social interactions and networking opportunities that he had had the opportunity to have because he was in a fraternity. And he just said he had met some of his best friends through it, and it was just a phenomenal experience overall. So I always had the intention of going and joining a fraternity. And then I ended up going out to Colorado State. I actually was one of the guys that went out for recruitment initially in the fall and then decided I wanted to get my feet under me. And I ended up rushing in the spring, which I was very thankful for. I was able to go and set an academic foundation and a whole mess of other stuff. I know a lot of my friends who went and joined in the fall and were also highly successful, but I just decided to go the other route with it. What I remember, my initial process was actually quite frightening. I thought I had a lot of moxie and a lot of confidence, and I thought I heard about this large tabling event that was going to be happening, basically in Colorado State's version of the MU. And so I remember walking up. I went alone, and I thought it was going to be super awesome. I thought it was going to be fun. I was super excited. And I remember turning the corner and looking in, and they had about 30 chapters as well. And there were 5 brothers per chapter at each table. And I was petrified. I remember I almost considered turning around, but I didn't, thankfully. I ended up walking in. I was like, you know what else do I have to lose? I'm here. Let's do it. It'll be fun. And so I walked in, talked to a bunch of chapters, and eventually I ended up going and having probably close to 15 chapters that I knew I was at least somewhat interested in. and I'd gotten their schedules, and the recruitment process is very different at Colorado State. It was a lot more informal throughout the year. But I was able to go and join the chapter that I'm very grateful for the chapter I ended up joining. The challenge that I ended up running into was I actually received close to 10 bids.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
just sneak that flexing around you. Sorry about that, Luke. But it was pretty easy for me to go and break down from 10 to 3 almost right off the bat. But the challenge for me was once you received a bid at Colorado State, you had a 3-day period to decide whether you wanted to accept it or not. And that was just a policy they had. It wasn't a chapter policy. It was just a policy. And I received 2 bids from two of the ones from my top 3, and right at the same time. So I had the starting period right of that 3-day window starting right at the same time for both of them. And I couldn't decide. I got down to the last 30 minutes of my 3-day period, and I could not decide between them. They were very, very different. I liked aspects of both of them, but they were both very different. And I ended up calling my dad, and I was so frustrated because with myself more than anything, because I just couldn't be decisive. And I asked him, I said, what do I do? I can't decide. He said, first off, you can wait. You can go and rush again. You can go and have more opportunities to go and interact with them more, go see what they're about, this and that. And I said, no, I want to join now. I said, all right, well, there goes that option. And he said, well, here's some advice that I got when I was looking at fraternities at Iowa State. I said, okay, please give it to me. And he said, imagine the guys that you would be proud to have at your wedding with all of your closest loved ones in your family. Like, who would represent you well, who would go and reflect you the best, and who would just benefit you in the long run? Who would you bring to your wedding? And instantly, when he said that, I knew which chapter I was going to join. And I think a big piece of rushing and or joining a fraternity, I apologize, rushing has a little bit of a stigma around it, is going and knowing what you want to gain out of joining a fraternity and where your priorities lie, and then going and actively listening to what recruitment chairs say or what the members of that fraternity say, and being able to align your priorities with their priorities. And whichever fits the best is probably going to be the one you want to join. And I mean, some houses might have a massive house, and other houses might have a huge brotherhood in numbers. But really, when it breaks down to it, people join people. Like, those are guys you're going to be calling brothers the rest of your lives. And that's something that you should keep in mind while you're rushing. So that was a little long-winded, but that was my.
You just kind of went off on that. I can appreciate it. I respect it. So my experience was at Iowa State. I've always been at Iowa State. I'm from Iowa, so it kind of, it was Iowa State or Iowa, so I came to Iowa State. I actually came in the exact opposite of Gunnar. I did not think I wanted to join a fraternity at all. I came the spring of my senior year. I came to the event that has now been replaced by IFC Experience. It was originally called Greek Visit Day, and it was for all 4 councils. I came to that event, stayed overnight at a chapter because I had a friend who was in that chapter, and I was just like, let's go check it out. I showed up and then only talked to that one friend and not anyone else in the chapter. So obviously that was not a productive way of doing it. So I decided, you know what, gonna wait a year, kind of get my feet under me, see what I want to do. So I spent my entire freshman year not associated with the chapter, wasn't even really looking at it that much. And then I had a number of friends through another engagement I was involved in who were involved in fraternities and sororities. One of them was that same friend that I actually visited during my senior year of high school. And they were like, hey, we think that these chapters would fit you really well. You should go check them out. So I went to IFC Experience Weekend during my freshman year. I really connected with 2 chapters in particular, and those ended up being the 2 that I kind of was bouncing back and forth between my entire time. So I was going through recruitment most of the way through the summer, and I received a bid from one chapter. And like I mentioned earlier, I was kind of like, all right, let's wait, let's see let me get the bid from the other chapter first and then decide then. And that was actually my mom who told me that. My mom was like, you should not make a decision until you have both bid cards in your hand. And that was really a good thing for me, because during my final recruitment event before I got a bid from the second chapter, which is the one that I ended up joining, there was a moment where we were just bowling at Perfect Games, which is a location in Ames, where people would go play games, bowl, mini golf, things like that. We were just bowling, which I don't even like bowling, but they were bowling, and that's what I was there. I was like, all right, I'll bowl. And there was just a moment when I looked around and I was like, yep, this is it. This is where I want to be. And then at the end of that day, I did end up receiving a bid from the chapter and signed it almost instantly, because I just sort of had that moment of like, oh, this is it. Kind of like what Gunnar had, a little bit different, but just kind of that epiphany of like, yeah, this is where I want to be. And it's going to be different for everyone. Some people know exactly where they want to go. And they just come in instantly and say, this is where I want to be. And they go there. For me, if you had told me that the chapter that I joined was the chapter I was going to join, I would have called you insane. But I ended up joining the chapter, and have received so many amazing opportunities and friendships because of it. And I really do not regret the decision that I made at all. I've loved every second of it. And I cannot recommend this experience enough to anyone that may be considering the experience. So that's my answer. I don't think that we have gotten really any questions. So I think at this point, that's going to about do it for us. If you have any questions, like I said earlier, feel free to email us, message us on Instagram, Facebook, call our office, whatever. All that information is on the bottom of the screen again. So feel free to contact us, and we would love to answer those questions for you. But I think that's going to do it for us. Gunnar, cute little way to close out. This is something I do campus visits too, and this is how we always close out our campus visit. Share your favorite thing about the sorority and fraternity community, just in general.
Oh, that's hard. There's a lot of things I love about it. Do you know yours right off the bat?
Yeah, I can go.
Okay.
So for me, my all-time favorite thing is some of the activities that I get to do. I was super into theater and music and choir and show choir in high school. That was my swing. That's all I did. And coming to college, there are some opportunities like that for just a general student. I could join choir, I could have done theater, but those weren't that's not what my major was about. And it was kind of hard for me to commit that time to be engaged in those high level activities. And the sorority and fraternity community really appealed to me because there's opportunities like Yell Like Hell and Lip Sync, and all those events associated with Greek Week and Homecoming that really just stood out to me as amazing opportunities to perform and engage with large groups of people and get involved. I even was a Yell Like Hell co-chair last year, which was so much fun. I loved it. I'm so proud of the skit that we made. We didn't win. I'm a little upset about it, but it's all right, because it was just so much fun getting to know all the people that I was working with and helping through this process. So that's what I love. I love all of those activities, and I can't wait to do them again. Hopefully in the fall, if not spring. So,
man, that's a tricky question, honestly. There's so many aspects that I've really benefited from and really enjoyed. I think the thing I'm most grateful for is just the social network. I think being able to both within my own chapter and the community as a whole, I have met so many people from pairings like Luke had mentioned all those opportunities to go and get involved. There's just an endless amount of people that you can meet and connect with and network with. And it's really helped me gain a lot of leadership, just strength, and a lot of communication skills. And I'm going to be continually grateful for that.
So that's about it for us. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to email us, contact us. Otherwise, I hope that you all enjoy the rest of your day and the rest of your weekend and the rest of your summer, I suppose, if you don't join us again for another one of these. So
yeah, happy Friday, people.
Bye, y'all.